What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Chris here. Today I'm going to tell you my secrets on how to quit using cannabis. It's quite the road trip. So for me, stopping cannabis is fairly simple. I just decide to pick a date and then I just stop like that. I know for some people it can be a real challenge and quite difficult to do. I know some people that do use cannabis daily and they just don't want to quit. The reason that I wanted to quit was I just needed some time to clear my head for a while. You know, it's great to use to help sleep. It's great if you want to chill out and watch some videos, but you know, this stuff can get habit forming after a while, and you know, before you notice you're going to be using a bit more and more to cover what you want to get to. So it is helpful, it has a use, but you know, it's only good in moderation. So back on, I think it was February 15th, I decided to quit cold turkey. So I went from using a few times a night to nothing the next day. Now, the tips I'm going to outline may or may not work for you, but it worked for me. And I'll be honest, the first couple of days it was pretty challenging because, you know, you get into that certain mindset, you get a little anxious, you're restless, you don't know what to do with yourself anymore. Your old habits start to creep back into your mind. So I'm going to outline the tips that I've used that may or may not help you on how to, you know, even if you want to just quit for a little while, which is what I did. I just said 6 weeks would be a good time for me to stop for a while. So I think I'll be at 6 weeks at the end of March. It's not to say I've given it up forever. You know, I may pick it up again here and there, but it won't be at the same level that I used to use it with. Yeah, I've got a ton of weed here, but so what? You know, I have this kicking around. To me, it's just like an object that I have in my place. I don't really see if it's something that I really desire to use, so it's just here. But for other people, I can understand it's like a legitimate addiction, like alcohol or anything else you can get addicted to. But here is what worked for me. So the first thing you're going to want to do is pick a date that you're going to quit. Mark it on the calendar, which is very important. And tell people when you do this. Tell your brother, your lover, your wife, your girlfriend, your husband, somebody that you know that you can trust that will keep it to themselves, that you can also use as a checkpoint so they can come back and ask you how you're doing. So once you pick that date, you stick to it, and you basically, you throw out all the weed that you have. And it doesn't fucking matter if you have a few grams or a few ounces. You just throw that shit in the garbage, and you take that garbage and you throw it in another garbage can where you can't get to it. And then you go through your paraphernalia. So if you have a bong, if you have a one hitter, if you have a vaporizer, make sure you clean all that shit out. You don't want any temptation. If you find a piece of bud somewhere, throw it out. Throw it in the garbage. Do a full sweep of your place of where you normally keep this stuff, and just chuck it. You know, weed is pretty cheap now, at least in Canada. You know, there's no reason why you can't get rid of it or give it to a friend to take. You know, if they smoke, just give it all away. You know, there's no need, and that includes edibles too, and oils, pills like that have THC or CBD. Just give it away, get rid of it. Your goal is to really have no items in that you may be tempted to be able to use like just this one time. Don't do it. It's not worth it. Your brain is going to be racked, like thinking about something that's in a drawer. Maybe I should just use it. I'm kind of stressed. You know, this day at work was really busy. I'm kind of in a depressed mood. Don't do it. Just don't even let yourself slack. Throw it out. Just get rid of it. Don't even think about it. Now, the first few days you're going to struggle because you're going to be going back to your old habits and mindsets. So the other suggestion that I have is to make sure you pick up a new hobby or something to occupy this new time. For me, it was creating videos and editing and picking up a new hobby, like vlogging and shit. For other people, maybe reading a book, going to the gym more, picking up a new hobby somewhere, maybe doing art, drawing, doing, paintings and pictures and stuff like that, photography. Pick something that you're generally interested in and you may want to spend more time on, and it's very helpful because it passes the time. You don't get into those old mindsets of, oh man, maybe I should just pick up. It's gone because you're going to be busy doing other shit. And you're going to thank me when you do this because you're going to get a whole new level of inspiration and creativity when you quit for a little while. Your creativity is going to go through the roof. You're going to start dreaming again. You're going to have very lucid dreams. Some of them are bizarre. Some of them are terrorizing. But, it's all part of life. Another thing that I found helpful, and this will sound unusual, is if you're feeling like shit in the evening and you just can't get calmed down and you just need relief, take a warm bath for at least 10 or 15 minutes and just sit in the tub and relax. I found that when you do this, it physically relaxes your whole body. And when you're done with this, you feel like there's a weight that's been lifted off and you have no more of this mental pressure of worrying and anxiety. It actually disappears after a while. And I think it actually helps with some of the withdrawals. Now, yes, there are withdrawals with weed, believe it or not. You can get anxious, you can have trouble sleeping, you get nausea. Now, when I went cold turkey, I only had a couple. I had nausea at a certain time at night, and then I had a little bit of restlessness, and that was it, really. Some people get hot and cold flashes, you know what happens, but it's manageable. My suggestion is don't take up any new drugs to cover this hole that weed has taken, so don't start using opiates. Don't start using other kinds of medications to fill this hole because you're not going to be able to fill it. You have to manage it internally. You have to master this. You have to have an iron will. And, when you say you're going to do something and you hold yourself to it, you just fucking do it. So you have to be hard on yourself. You have to pretend you're a drill instructor and just yell at yourself and say, you're going to do this shit whether you like it or not. And it works. You just have to buck down and do it. Another thing that I like to do is to exercise a lot. It tends to release a lot of tension in your body and in your mind. So make sure you keep busy and then do a lot of working out. Make sure you take a day off to at least let your body recoup. But exercise is great, whether it's running, walking, weights, an air bike. All this shit is going to help you continue on the road of not using. Another good thing to do is there's a support group, or not really a support group, but if you go onto Reddit, it's a great resource. It's basically a forum for people that have decided to quit weed and they share their stories. So if someone's on a 30-day tea break, this is their story and this is how they did it. It's wonderful because then you get advice from other people on how they manage their cravings and stuff like that. They can give you advice. They can give you encouragement on how to stop. Another thing that really helps is get rid of some of your smoking paraphernalia. One thing that I did right away was I just threw out my bong. It was like $100 bong, but to be honest, a piece of glass had gotten in the base of it, and it was more of a hazard than anything. So I decided, you know what, just chuck it. So I just threw it in the garbage, and I don't miss it. It's gone. I mean, sure, I have a vaporizer and a little a one-hitter, but I don't even look at it. I've hid it away in a drawer somewhere. I haven't even seen it in like a month. I don't miss it. That's fine. I'll probably clean it at one point, but that won't happen until April. And even then, I'm not even really craving this shit. It's just like another object. So you got to set limits on how much you're using. I've heard of people using micro dosing of it, or just using edibles. The thing about edibles is you really have to be careful because you can get a panic attack quite easily if you take too much. It's so easy. You know, it's happened to me once when I took 100 milligrams. It's insane. My brain had split into 16 pieces. I don't know what the fuck was going on for a few hours. And when you get high on edibles, it's not like a slow progression. It's like all of a sudden your mind goes bang, and all of a sudden you're on the top of Kilimanjaro, and you're like, what? And there's no breaks when you're doing that. You're just like flat out on the top. Yeah, so these are the main tips that I wanted to point out. Now, you can attend things like Narcotics Anonymous. They're pretty helpful. I never had to do that. For me, I told a few people I was quitting. I put it on my blog. To keep myself in check, I told my close loved ones that I was doing it. They would ask me from time to time how I'm doing. You know, I would chat with a friend of mine over FaceTime and watch him get high, and that didn't really affect me at all either. So that's when I knew I had this beat, and anybody can do. If I can do it, anybody else can do it. It just takes time. And you know what? If you do relapse and you fail, it's not the end of the world. All you have to do is put another date on the calendar, hold yourself accountable again, and just start over. So it's not the end of the world. Don't beat yourself up. Sometimes it takes a few times to quit. For me, it was like instant. I did it. I cut it off. Yeah, it was uncomfortable. I felt like shit for a few days, but you know, after that, I felt great. Your mind clears up. You start dreaming again. You get a bit of a positive attitude in life. You know, it's not going to cure all your depression and stuff like that, but it's quite helpful, you know, to get your mind out of that fog. Don't get me wrong, it does have a place and use in certain areas, but I would never, ever recommend using this in place of therapy or, you know, any kind of legitimate counseling. You know, get your counseling. I can't say nice enough things about getting a therapist and talking to somebody about your problems. It's wonderful to talk to somebody that doesn't judge you. It's great. It's the best feeling in the world, actually. So if you're struggling and you're wondering what to do, these are my tips. I really hope you can quit. And even if it's just for a few days, just give it a try. You'd be surprised at how much willpower you can manage. And it feels great, honestly. Once you've said yourself that you can do it and you've done it, it's just like winning an award. It's unbelievable. But anyway, I wish you the best and good luck.